Who would have thought that this would be the most controversial thing on the internet right now? Everyone's talking about Reckless Ben and this video series that he's been doing against a store called Bricks and Minifigs because he's accusing them of stealing $100,000 from an elderly man and his son. Now, if you don't know the story, I'll just watch like the first couple minutes here of the documentary, the hour-and-a-half documentary that Reckless Ben put out 2 weeks ago.
This man spent his life collecting what's now known as the world's largest Lego Star Wars collection ever. It's estimated to be worth around $200,000. And then the entire thing got stolen, and the police are actively working with the thieves to cover the entire thing up. But the craziest part is that the collector doesn't even know that his collection's been stolen. Yeah, the collector's son, Brian, well, he reached out to me because he has no clue how to break this news to his dad.
At this point, my father had a health episode. We can't bring any stress to him.
The reason he's reaching out to me is because the police are covering this entire thing up. And at this moment, I promised Brian that I would not end this video until I get his entire world record Star Wars collection back. But anyways, the thief of this collection is actually a corporation called Bricks and Minifigs.
As you can tell, like this guy is like a full-on YouTuber, not a little YouTuber like me, like a legit YouTuber going full Mr. Beast style here with this bombastic opening that promises a lot. You know, there's a lot that's said here. And what I can say is that at least from the editing that Reckless Ben has been doing over these last several videos, I mean, he ain't wrong. Like this is a pretty crazy story. Now, what has happened since has gotten even more insane. So he's tried, and you can watch the videos, again, hour and a half, but it's well worth your time. It's really entertaining. But Reckless Ben, went through a whole bunch of different things. He called, he showed up. From the videos that he released, it seems like he was always pretty cordial, a little snarky, you know, like just trying to be a little funny about how he did some things. He came in with like a peace treaty and a scroll, which of course wasn't going to get what he wanted. And there were some tricks that he did that were, if not illegal, like really, really shady. Some of the stuff that he did, like posing as a delivery driver to get a signature on a legal document is pretty shady stuff. But, you know, okay, like you could look behind all of that and see the heart there. It seems to be that he really wants to help this guy Brian and his dad get these Legos back. And throughout the videos, they make it pretty clear that there's about $100,000 in Lego sets that weren't given back to the family and weren't sold. So where do those Legos go? Basically, it's a hunt for $100,000 of merchandise, and Bricks and Minifigs constantly calls the police on him. Like constantly, like from the store manager of just being confronted with, hey, I'm here to pick up this merchandise that you guys have in your inventory, and you know, I'm coming here for my friend, and immediately you need to leave. We're going to trespass you. Call the cops. And throughout the process, it seems very clear that the cops are right in line with Bricks and Minifig. They are the ones who are supporting them and basically just being, you know, a little shady themselves. So that goes on for a bit. And it's not until the second video that things go really off the deep end.
Search warrant. Stand up. Step outside, everybody. No, don't move.
This is the story of how I got swatted, all because of Legos. The whole thing started with me investigating a Lego company called Bricks and Minifigs.
Again, these openings are insane, but it really shows you, like, that actually happened to this guy. If you watch the full video, the cops literally come into the Airbnb where he and his group are staying because they actually went from California, where they're at. They've gone up to Oregon several times to try and get this local business to do the right thing, give them back the $100,000, or at least prove like what's happened with it. if it actually went through the inventory, if they got paid out, all of that kind of stuff, like at least show that. And they tried several times, didn't work. So they ended up trying to sue the owner of that store who lives in Utah. So he actually goes to Utah, shows up in the neighborhood. He didn't even go to the door, but he's in the neighborhood of this owner of this local Bricks and Minifigs store in Oregon. And he's there in Utah at his house and has the police called on him several times. They even get told that they had a call where they found drugs in the car. You know, who's calling and saying that for people who are traveling from California? Well, obviously, it's probably someone associated with this guy, this owner, or the company. But it goes crazy to the point where then they get a warrant to come into this Airbnb where this group is staying, searching for the Legos. So they turned it around on this guy who's investigating all of this and trying to serve this guy, give him the papers so he could be properly sued in civil court to try to recoup this money for this family. And then they turn it around to where, no, actually, you're the one who's going to jail. And he actually does spend the night in jail and has to get bailed out. And then there's all these other, warrants for his arrest. It's an insane story, but I really want us to think about, like, who is right here? What do we do as people on the internet just like watching this? Is it entertaining? Absolutely. It is so entertaining, and I'll be following this for sure. But what do we actually do about these people who are stealing all these Legos and trying to say, like, hey, we didn't do anything wrong? Is Reckless Ben in the wrong, or are these people? Well, first off, I'll say Reckless Ben is a YouTuber. And, like, obviously a really good YouTuber. The story is well put together. It's well edited. It kept my attention like the whole time, which is saying something these days. And so he's a really good YouTuber. But the thing about YouTubing is YouTuber's going to YouTube. So he does some pretty insane things. It's things that, the average person probably would not do to try to get some things done and also entertain those people who will be watching like me. And so, like, there's the use of, like, taking over people's signage, some of the tactics that he used, like I said, like the delivery driver thing, and even some of, like, I don't know, I'm not a lawyer or anything, and I hope no one gets that idea from watching this video, but I don't know, but he basically tries to sue him in civil court, like sue the Bricks and Minifigs company, sue him 10 different times. And so he, like, has Brian, the owner, like the son of the old man who had this Star Wars Lego collection that he gave to Bricks and Minifigs. He does it, like, to where he pays them for owning these things. It's a weird thing. He basically buys them from Brian to be able to then have it split 10 ways to then have 10 civil lawsuits, because then they won't have to go through as many financial hurdles to try and get this thing resolved. I don't know how legal that is. That sounds really weird to me. There's stuff that's wrong there, of the way he goes about it. But Bricks and Minifigs, I don't know what they're doing. From a marketing perspective, it is insanity. And just from, like, a human perspective, it just seems like so mean and cruel. Like the way that Reckless Ben actually went, if you watch these videos, he went and talked to the CEO himself and said, hey, this is what was done. We want to get this resolved. And he was shot down immediately. Now, sure, this is all video from Reckless Ben, so maybe there is some editing, some conversation that was left out of why he wasn't able to do that. But, this guy, the CEO for Bricks and Minifigs, which is a franchisor, right? So, like, it's a big old franchise, and there's franchisees, and this local store here in Oregon is just another one of those franchises. So he can't be held responsible for every single action of those franchises. I totally understand that. But when you're a leader when you're an owner, when you're trying to even just make sure that your business survives, the way that he goes about defending this franchise is insane. Like, to immediately shut someone down who's coming to you with a pretty big accusation, $100,000 in stolen merchandise is no small thing. Like, you should listen to something like that, even for the sake of not getting sued, you know? But then you have like this owner, this local owner of this thing, who has been leading Ben on this entire time, even to the point where he says several times on record saying that he has the merchandise.
When Brian first came in, we identified anything that was on that list that would have been his that Amanda didn't sell, and we set it aside. And it's still sitting there. We're happy to give you your stuff back.
So this guy has been, like, this Reckless Ben YouTuber guy and this family has been lied to over and over again by the company, by the owner of this local franchise for sure, but also from the CEO, because the CEO is responsible for all of it and has been like, oh, we don't know anything about what's going on. And then you find out that maybe he did know some things. He even did an interview with some YouTubers where he was asked, you know, if you would do it all over again, would you? And it's pretty clear this guy just does not get it. He has no clue. He is just like, we just need to get over this thing and move on.
You were saying at least some of it. There is validity to some of it. We all agree. I mean, a transaction went down. Some of the sets were sold, even if it wasn't done by under your rule book, right? So we do know that happened. So I'm going to ask you again. Just if it's no, it's no. To save the trauma, the abuse, the verbal, potentially sales. You didn't really clarify on that one. If you could have made it go away for the franchise's sakes, would you have done that? If it hushed it and then you figure it out legally later and sue the hell out of them behind the scenes and not have this play out in public, would you have done that if you could have, in hindsight?
I don't think that's a question that I can answer. Like, because again, every situation is going to be different. And
this situation, this one.
Yeah, this situation, even still, I don't think I can answer that one completely the way you're wanting. So
we've had.
I think you hear it right there. Like, he's concerned about the franchisee. He's not concerned about the customer. Obviously, that doesn't seem to be a huge priority for this guy. This guy is basically just trying to be like, let's get over it. You know, like, they can't prove it. Which even like his whole thing about like, oh, well, we didn't get documentation. And then they're like, wait, but like at any point? And they're like, no, well, we did, but it wasn't in our time frame, whatever that means. You know, if your goal is to always do what's right, like there's no time frame on doing what's right. You know, like, it's not like, oh, well, we were going to do what was right until this date and you went past that. So now we can't do that. You could do what's right now. And he says he has questions about like their point of sales stuff. I don't know what a guy who, you know, just consigned his Legos to the store would know about their point of sale stuff. You know, he knows what they gave and what they told him was sold. That's it. You know, if they have questions about the point of sale stuff, that's an internal conversation. So this is just a guy, a CEO who thinks that he has built something incredible and that cannot be shattered, but realizing that there's going to be this black eye on the company, but thinking like, hey, you know what? If we just hold our position here, that we're the ones in the right, that they're the ones in the wrong and they have to prove it. And, you know, all this stuff, the editing has all been manipulated, all of that stuff. If they can just hold that position long enough that people will forget. And I don't think people are going to. This is the sign of a dying company. If they're not going to make things right for this family and drop all the legal stuff with Reckless Ben, which again, I'm not saying like it would be annoying. Like, don't get me wrong. If there was a guy who just showed up at my house and was like, hey, I want you to sign this peace treaty, and like doing all this weird stuff and all the jokes. And even at the very end of his first video where he's like coming to basically get the Legos or whatever, and he's got like a piggy bank and he's wearing like a diaper. Like if that happened, like I would be ticked, you know, like that's just, okay, you're a weirdo. And maybe Reckless Ben is a weirdo, but being a weirdo isn't illegal. And it doesn't mean that you're wrong about everything either. So he has to do what's right, and he's just refusing to do that. And the local guy is really the one who's at fault here. But I would say even beyond that is all the police stuff. The police stuff is insane, because when Ben goes to the house of this Josh guy, who is the owner of the local franchise of Bricks and Minifigs, he gets the cops called on him like 5 times just trying to serve papers. He hasn't even stepped on the property. He gets like some kind of a hoax call saying that he has drugs in the car, and that's a 3-hour search. And then he spends a night in jail because he says that this guy is stalking him when he's just trying to do the right thing of handing him the papers, which he's legally bound to do if he's going to continue with the civil lawsuit. So like all that stuff, Ben does right. You know, the pranks and the humor and the YouTubery is like, you know, whatever, annoying, not illegal, but annoying. But that stuff, like the legal aspect of it, he was in the right to do all that stuff. And he had the cops called on him several times. And it's like the same cops. Now, maybe this local police department was small, but come on, man. You can't tell me that there's not something going on. The way he's just sitting on his steps, you know, no shoes on, just talking to the cops and basically being like, you guys got to do this for me. And then even gets on the phone. And I mean, the CEO is there telling the cops what to do.
Can't continue, so somebody has to be arrested to show that they can't continue to do this.
That's something no one's really talked about, and I find just completely insane, and makes me really question the validity of what is the relationship between Josh, the CEO, and these cops. And of course, people have been quick to bring up this whole idea that they're all Mormons. And Reckless Ben even put that in the video because Brian was saying like, hey, they're all Mormons and they kind of act this way. Is that the biggest thing? I don't know. But there is something going on there with the police department and the CEO there specifically basically dictating what the cops should do and finding loopholes that they could trap this Ben guy to be able to, you know, get something on him and be able to haul him to jail. I'm looking at this, and just as someone who's completely on the outside, I'm going like, I think this Ben guy is right about the main points here. And this company needs to do what's right by Brian and his dad and pay back what they owe him. You know, and if that means that they can find the physical sets, then give those back to him. But this story is crazy. It's ongoing. I'll probably make another video on this channel about this. Hey, if you like me talking about what's going on with the internet and like what kind of stories are getting talked about a lot and reacting to videos like this, let me know, and I'll keep on making videos like this. This is a new channel, so subscribe, hit the like button, and share your thoughts down below. What do you think the CEO did right? What do you think he did wrong? Ben, the same question. What did he do wrong? What did he do right? Who are the good guys in the story? To me, it's pretty clear that it's Brian and his dad, along with Ben, although Ben has done some shady stuff in the tactics that he's used. I'm not going to say are the best, but overall, I would say he's in the right. But the bad guy to me is definitely this owner, Josh, and the Bricks and Minifigs location there in Oregon. And yeah, what a weird story. Anyways, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.